Thank you very much for joining and for taking this time to being a part of this conversation. Like always, remember, you can find me on various platforms like TikTok. You can find me on YouTube here, and you can find me on Facebook as Salim Cyrus KE. This is a platform whereby we rejuvenate and make sure that you get transformed and you get healed. So in this particular moment, I just want to ensure that you be in a position to grasp the reality of getting it right. So what do I mean? So in this current generation, there is so much that is happening. But I think it is important to gain the understanding of depending on what is true and definite. So in the place of knowledge is where I think each one of us should be. So today I'm going to be talking about the narcissistic partner. And I'm going to separate between the female and the male. And that is what I'm going to make sure that you grasp that reality. So the intention of this platform is to ensure that you come out of a bondage that makes you think you cannot become. So the reality of also this platform is to reveal the truths that were hidden, the truths that many people don't want to speak about. So today's topic, it's all about revealing these things that people keep on talking about and they can't really grasp the reality that are considered to be so much, weakening into various relationships and all that. So remember, you can follow me on all those pages, and I'm so happy to be a part of this conversation. So thank you so much. And I think we're not going to lose our way in making this become something that is tangible. So today, the topic of today, it's basically, like I've just said, the narcissistic partner. So number one, what do you think and what comes to your mind when we talk about the narcissistic partner? What comes to your mind? What is that thing that settles in your mind when you hear about the narcissism and all that? So it is a question that so many people have been asking me. And I think it is important to bring this thing into consideration so that you and I can begin to see what I really want to bring out. Look at the ambience, the beauty that is so far where I am in this moment. It is because I just chose to be here. So the reason why most of us are struggling in relationships, it is because most of us chose the wrong people. And we didn't want to settle on what is profound. So I want to go straight to the point. And the very point that I'm going to bring about on this, especially when beauty becomes a weapon, especially for women, beauty itself becomes a weapon. It is because many people don't want to get it right because they don't want to really see these things. So point number one, validation of a virtue. And this is the one thing that most women are struggling with. And I'm talking about the narcissistic woman, validation of a virtue. So what do I mean? A narcissistic woman thrives on attention, not affection. Have you heard what I've said? A narcissistic woman thrives on attention, not affection. And that is what many people, especially many males, cannot see it. Because they tend to get into a relationship thinking that it is going to flourish or thrive, but they cannot have something that is tangible because at the end of the day, it's all about the beauty of that woman. It is all about, that woman looking good, fly and all that. But the seriousness of that relationship cannot be evident because what is happening in such a relationship, it is because of the acts that are not right. So, my brother, today I just want to help you understand why is your woman behaving how she's behaving. It is because she cares so much being validated, being talked to, and being made to understand that she is the only one in the room and she deserves all the honor, all the respect. I'm not disagreeing. It is good to give honor where it's due and respect where it's due. But I'm talking about this narcissistic woman. She thrives on attention, but not not affection. She's not willing to be a part of a relationship that will grow, a relationship that can become better. But her only desire is to receive a validation that makes her become better in this life. And that is attention. Every day, when you don't attend to her needs, she feels like you've thrown her out of the room. But I want to make it clear to you. In order for you to see the realities and the truths concerning these things, you have to be willing to understand how it was even from beginning. So the other thing is this. This baby woman, her self-worth is measured by how many eyes turn her away. How many eyes turn away, not by the depth of her character. So this kind of a woman, she doesn't care about her character. She doesn't care about how, people will look at her. She doesn't care what people will say because her character, it's not about, having that discipline that is going to make her live a life that has been fashioned into what is definite. She only thinks about how beautiful she is and how everything is looking for her, especially outwardly. And it is important, my brother, to see these things before you get into a relationship. It is important for you to get into, to delve into into the depth of understanding that the beauty that you require to be a part of, it is just not, it is just beyond even physical beauty. Remember, in relationships, she uses emotional teasing and selective affection to keep men uncertain and craving approval. That is what she does, and that is what she's longing to do. At the end of the day, what can you see and what can you benefit from this kind of a woman? Nothing, because validation is what she desires to have beyond virtue. She does not want to be a woman that functions and works on what is disciplined. Charm is deceptive. That is what the scriptures tell us, that charm is deceptive. Beauty is fleeting. Proverbs 31. All those things that a woman wants to portray, all those things will end at some point. Those things are deceptive, but a woman of character, a woman of discipline is far much worth than rubies. And many men cannot get this reality. So vanity is the mask of insecurity. And that is what men need to understand. Vanity is the mask of insecurity. And the perception that many people do carry is to live a life that has no guarantee to what makes relationships become and relationships thrive. So her beauty becomes a currency, her charm a weapon, and validation her drug. Have you listened to what I've said? So it is important for you to get into the depth of the matter so that you can see these things beyond how she gets to see it. Let me go to point number two. The mirror addiction. So what do I mean by the mirror addiction? Look at what happens in our social platforms. Social media has intensified narcissistic behavior among women. It has made narcissistic behaviors to become something that is okay, that is normal, that it is okay for a woman to behave in certain ways that cannot be understood. And the only thing that has been displayed and portrayed in our societies is that now the natural aspect of behaving based on discipline and character is not even, is not even guaranteed, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that can be proven to be right, because this kind of a woman thinks that the only place she can be is on social platforms where she can reveal her identity based on how she is from outside. But the reality is her inner being is not having that discipline and character to ensure that everything thrives and everything becomes better. So what do I mean? Once again, most of the time it's all about the constant selfies and all these filters and curated lifestyles, which are trying to portray another way. Look at what is happening even to most women in our society. What are they doing? They're trying to create certain abilities which do not even reveal true culture. That culture that I'm talking about, it is the discipline that maketh relationships to function and become better. So having such a woman in your life, my brother, it will become difficult for you to enjoy the beauty of life. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 2, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Remember that. It is vanity. Everything that we tend to think about, it is all vanity. And we need to learn one thing. The only way to thrive, the only way to become, it is all about working on what is profound. Let us go to point number 3, emotional manipulation as power. Emotional manipulation as power. So what do I mean? She weaponizes emotion. Tears when cornered, silence when controlling, affection when scheming. That is what is happening with our women today. This is the kind of a woman will manipulate you with how she feels, with how she tries to display herself and all that. But she will never reveal the realities, the truth about these things, because the only thing she thinks about it's herself. And she's going to use her emotions. She's going to display her emotions the way she thinks, because she really wants to manipulate you, and she knows and she understands it, because that is what she wants to do, so that she can break you, she can bring you down. The goal is never peace but dominance. That is her attitude, that is her character. This manipulation drains emotionally healthy partners who confuse empathy with obligation. And it is important, my brother, to understand, being in a good relationship, it is not about you working and thriving on what cannot benefit you. You know, I got to see in the book of Proverbs chapter 5 verse 3 to 4, for the lips of an immoral woman drip honey, but in the end she is bitter as wormwood. What do I mean? Power without purpose corrupts both the holder and the held. And that is what is happening in our society. And it is quite unfortunate, because people cannot see the evidences, the truths that bear the realities of these things. So it is important for you, my brother, to be in a place of getting to see these red flags before you get into that real relationship. Let us go to point number 4. The false independence narrative. The false independence narrative. So what do I mean? Many narcissistic women disguise self-centeredness as independence, self-centeredness as independence. So a woman who has a lot of wealth and all these things, and she thinks she's better than other people, and she will really want to, to dominate, because she doesn't want to be controlled. Because she thinks when a man controls her, it's all about being a slave. So they preach self-love but crave control. That is what these women do. Their independence isn't empowerment. It's emotional isolation decorated as confidence. Once again, research shows narcissistic women often avoid accountability, twisting empowerment into superiority. And that is what is happening in our society. Quite unfortunate. Galatians chapter 5 verse 13, for you are called to freedom, but through love serve one another. What is happening in our society? The false independence narrative. That is what is being displayed in our world. So this part, it's all about the woman, trying to talk about this narcissistic woman so that we can enable ourselves to understand what is happening in our society. Remember, freedom without humility is rebellion in disguise. Freedom without humility is rebellion, in disguise. And quite unfortunate to get to be in such a place where it does not reveal the realities of the matter. So let us go to point number 5 so that we can get to understand what is happening. So the love marriage or the love marriage, it depends where you went to school and all that. So the love marriage, she confuses attention for intimacy and attraction for commitment. And that is what is happening in our society. She confuses attention for intimacy and attraction for commitment. So anytime you approach this woman, that is what is happening. Narcissistic women often mimic affection to extract admiration or status, leaving partners drained and questioning reality. Her relationships revolve around what they give her ego, not her heart. It's all about her, what she's going to gain, what she's going to give at the end of the day. It's all about what she's going to gain afterwards. So for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant. Remember, love is not possession, it's partnership. And that is what I can let you know, my brother, today. So that part was all about the woman. Now I want to go to part B concerning the men, the narcissistic man, so that you can get to understand. So the narcissistic man, the God complex. It's all about the God complex. So what do we mean? A narcissistic man calls dominance leadership. That is what she does. He calls dominance leadership. How can you be in a place of dominating people and getting to think that things can work and things can become by you trying to prove a point by dominating the people that are working for you, dominating the woman that is in your life? And you think that is leadership? No, that is not leadership. That is a narcissistic behavior. This stems from insecurity masked as authority, a psychological pattern rooted in fragile self-esteem. My dear brother, you need to check yourself and you need to be secure within yourself in order for you to behave in a way that is going to make you become better in this life. So there's a man by the name, John C. Maxwell said, leadership is not control. It's influence rooted in service. It is influence rooted in service. So he builds followers, not partners, admirers, not allies. That is what a leader does. You do not build, you don't build people that you're going to control, but you build people that are going to partner with you. People that are going to make you become better in this life. So let's go to point number 2. Emotional desert syndrome. Emotional desert syndrome or desert syndrome. I'm sorry to say desert. It's not desert, it's desert syndrome. So the narcissistic man suppresses emotion and demands perfection. So this kind of a person suppresses emotion and demands perfection. That is what he does. At the end of the day, it's all about him. And anytime any person or the partner decides to come up with a point, this is the kind of a man who will try to suppress the reality of the matter by trying to prove, his masculinity based on his ego, trying to reveal that he can do this thing, not by understanding the other person. So remember, vulnerability feels like weakness. So he manipulates rather than communicates. That is what he does. And it's quite unfortunate. So studies show men high in narcissism exhibit low empathy and emotional detachment, creating relationships that feel like submission, not connection. What this is one of the things that many people cannot see and many people cannot comprehend, because such kind of a man is a red flag. And as a sister, you need to understand, you need to see these things even before you get into a relationship, even before you get yourself into what will bring growth into that marriage or into that relationship you want to get into. Remember, the absence of empathy is the death of intimacy. The absence of empathy is the death of intimacy. And how are you experiencing the beauty of love or the beauty of being in a relationship if you cannot have someone who has empathy, who cannot even, show their emotional side? How can you be in a relationship that cannot make you realize who you are? That at the end of the day, it's all about fighting, fighting and fighting every other day. And there's nothing tangible that you can see. Quite unfortunate. So let's go to point number 3. Charm as camouflage or camouflage. It depends where you went to school also. Charm as camouflage. So at first, he's charismatic, confident and captivating. That is the kind of a man that's narcissistic. This kind of a man will try to prove himself by presenting, these kinds of character. At first, he will be charismatic, confident, and captivating, but that charm conceals manipulation. Him being so handsome, him being so good, having all this money, at the end of the day, all those things can hide who this person is at the end of the day. So once he secures admiration, he begins to devalue. And my sister, I know you've been going through that. And those are the things that at this point, at some point, you've seen this kind of characters, but you're trying to be blind not to see the reality. So the love bomb and withdraw. This kind of people, this love bomb and withdraw cycle keeps partners addicted to the illusion of his early affection. And that is what is happening in our world today. Remember, nothing is new under the sun. These are things that were happening, but they were not addressed. And that is why we're here. I'm here to address this so that you can begin to see what you need to do, so that you can establish a foundation that can create something that is going to be futuristic. It's all about the foundation. If your foundation began without consideration, you're going to lose your way in this life. So charisma without character is counterfeit of leadership. Charisma without character is counterfeit of leadership. That is one of the quotes from the late, I love this guy, Dr. Miles Monroe. He spoke about this. So it is important for you to get it right so that you can establish yourself in a relationship or a marriage or a business, or having partners that are going to make you grow, going to make you see the realities of this life. So let us go to point number 5 concerning the narcissistic man. The image over integrity syndrome. The image over integrity syndrome. So narcissistic men are obsessed with perception. Reputation matters more than reality. That is what, they want to look good. They want to drive the best car. They want to live in the best house. But that is not who they are. And most of the time you'll find them in debts, in loans. They will keep on doing things like lipam dogo, paying small at the end of the day. That is what they're looking for, because they want to look like they have it all. But in reality, they don't have anything. And it is quite unfortunate once again. They curate lifestyles to appear successful and powerful while hiding emotional emptiness. Like what we talked about, empathy, they lack that. So at the end of the day, what happens? You be in a relationship, or you have a partner who is not even willing to show you their real self. So they will keep on hiding. They will keep on subjecting you to pain, subjecting you to things that do not even matter. So at the end of the day, what is going to happen? You lose yourself in the moment. In the book of Matthew chapter 23 verse 27, I read something. Woe to you, you are like whitewashed tombs or tombs, which look beautiful on the outside but are full of decay inside. Quite unfortunate, you see? It's quite unfortunate. And I think it is important for you to get it right with a person you really want to have a life with. So the greatest battle of manhood is the war between image and integrity. So this kind of a person will try to prove a certain kind of image, but in reality they're so narcissistic. They can control people and manipulate people in a way that cannot establish something that is futuristic, something that is of discipline, and something that is of essence. Quite unfortunate. So the greatest battle of manhood is the war between image and integrity. So it is important for each one of us to get into these very few things that I'm speaking about. The final number 5 concerning the man, this is where I conclude this very talk. And I want you to be very careful with what you choose, who you choose. Don't go for that person because of what they are, but who they are. So point number 5, which is the final one, the fear of accountability. He thrives where no one questions him. That is what narcissistic men do. They want to thrive where no one can question them. And that is the only best place they can, they can function, they can thrive, they can become better, where no one can question them. And every other day, this is a kind of a person that has all the answers in this world. If it's in their workplace, if it's in their business, whatever kind of businesses they're doing, in their marriages, in their relationships, in all those things, what happens at the end of the day? They have all the answers. They don't, in fact, they don't want even their partners to be a part of, solving problems. And at the end of the day, it's all about what they say. That's not masculinity. That is taking control and having a certain kind of, taking a certain kind of path that cannot reveal who you are as a masculine man. Because a man needs to take his position by not enslaving the woman, but by taking control that reveals discipline, that provides certain attributes and principles that are going to show that you're a leader. Because a leader does not control. A leader takes control based on discipline. That is what I can say. So another thing is, accountability threatens his illusion of perfection. Accountability threatens his illusion of perfection. So he blames, deflects, or destroys anything that exposes his flaws. In truth, the narcissistic man is afraid of being ordinary, of being known, of being vulnerable. That is what he does. And I've met with this kind of people, and you get to see what they do. I once had a friend like that. Quite unfortunate. And the things that this person could do, quite unfortunate, because this is one of the person that will try to deviate from being corrected, from being, directed into what is productive. So, in the book of James chapter 4 verse 6, I read something. God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. Very true. There's a quote here from the one guy, Stephen Covey. He said, accountability breeds growth. Denial breeds decay. So I want to conclude by letting you know, this character is something that can change if you choose and if you're willing to be a part of growth. And that is why every other time I keep on telling people, go to my website, www.salimcyrus.com, and you can find me also on other platforms like TikTok, YouTube here, and Facebook and Instagram as Salim Cyrus KE. And I'll be very happy to work with you and partner with you in this. So take your time to look into yourself to get that reality of who you are as a person. So thank you so much. Until next time.